Hey, everyone. Welcome to episode 75 of Michigan Brews, our Big Brew Day recap episode.
75.
75. I know, 3/4 of the way to 100. It's kind of crazy. I think we started this just about this time 2 years ago. Didn't we start?
Had to have been 2 years ago. My kid just turned 2.
Yeah, exactly. So
he's our timekeeper.
I think our anniversary is actually like next week.
Didn't we have a show like on my birthday? I think.
Yeah,
I'll go look.
Episode.
Okay. Yeah.
It was like while I was in the hospital.
And you couldn't. You didn't join us, but that's all right.
Still,
We forgive you.
I should
right.
have. Kid number 2. I'll bring my gear with me.
Well, for those listening to the podcast later, it's us three, the Jordan, the Brian, and the Jason, and we are also joined tonight by Matt McQuillan. Matt, hello.
Hello.
What's up, buddy? How are you doing tonight?
I'm living the dream. Thanks for having me, fellas.
Absolutely. So we'll get into this in a bit when we start talking about Big Brew Day, but Matt was our gracious host for our brew facility, our entire open parking lot area for Big Brew Day for our homebrew club, the Keepers of Craft. So, Matt, thank you very much for hosting us and letting us hang out with you all Saturday.
It's my pleasure, man. That's how that was kind of the part of the reason why I wanted to get involved with that, is because I knew I had that open space and stuff where I could keep a bunch of different equipment. So when you have a big operation like that, you can, there's always extra this and that, and I don't know. For me, brewing with a group of people is way more fun than just going and doing a brew by yourself or what.
Yeah.
Like the more people you have, the more you can talk beer nerd stuff too. It's awesome. So it's always my pleasure. We should do more of them out there, in my opinion.
Definitely. Maybe we can look to set something up like every other month or every quarter or something like that.
Yeah,
I definitely don't mind hauling my stuff around. So even if it just ends up being a couple groups of people brewing a beer together, maybe we can all brew like the same style and pitch different yeasts. I know we've done experiments like that and stuff in the past.
The last Big Brew Day that we had out there wasn't nearly as big as this year's, but I think we did a smash IPA and everybody picked a different hop.
Yeah.
And then we judged it at Doster's place when we had the next meeting or whatever.
Yep.
So we could do something fun like that, because there's always some new hop or new yeast or something that it's fun to experiment with to see what it actually does to the flavor.
Always something to play with.
Yep, for sure.
Well, since we have you and you already are, running your mouth over there, what are you drinking tonight?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, again, Hams.
The Hams glass.
The Hams glass.
It looks too dark to be a Hams.
You got it's definitely not any type of Hams, but it's a great receptacle to drink it out of. It's one of my home brews. It's pretty young, but I made my attempt at a Baltic porter.
Ooh.
But
did you bring that out Saturday? I don't know if I tried that.
I didn't. But I do want. That's kind of why I wanted to bring this out. I want you guys to taste it and tell me whether it's a porter or Baltic porter, because I don't know.
I got you.
I don't drink enough Baltic porters to go, yeah, that tastes like a Baltic porter. And I also got, I tried to find one at like Megabev. You can't find a Baltic porter. Apparently,
not at all.
It's the white whale of beers to make and drink. So
you missed the timing by just a little bit. Bell's had one like 2 months ago, I think. Yeah.
I don't know of any like commercial Baltic porters. Like off the top of my head. I mean, Bell. Yeah, but
I looked on the BJCP web or like the breakdown, just because they always give like those commercial whatever, and it's nothing I've ever heard. Like, it's no breweries that I heard of. It's almost like it's a specialty at a small breweries or something. It just, I don't think it gets mass produced a lot.
No.
But anyways, it's a porter. I think it tastes all right, but I don't know. I think I told Jason this the other night when I was talking to him, that I tried to do a lager yeast at a low temperature, which is acceptable for the style. Well, you can also use a lager yeast, but I used an ale yeast. I'm sorry, at a low temp.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, ale yeast, and instead of a lager, because the original ones that I did the research, they did it with ale yeast, but it's in the Baltic Sea, so it was cold.
Got it.
And so I tried to get it down, but my fermentation chamber was running and running. I'm like, Jesus, it's at 68. I'm trying to get it down to 62 ish.
Mhm.
And I finally pulled the temp gauge out because I got the one that drops down in. So I pulled it out. It was 52 degrees ambient temperature.
I mean, all right, as long as it's fermenting, yeah.
But I mean, like it's fermenting, but inside the liquid was like 68. I only got it down to like 64 for 2 or 3 days at the end. So it was, I don't know, it was interesting. But anyways, long explanation of I'm drinking a porter.
I can't wait to try it. What about you, Jordan?
Well, first, before I go into that, because Matt having the dark beer in a Ham's glass, I want to see a Ham's Dark come out at some point. If somebody at Ham's is listening, let's make it happen. I will buy it.
Yeah, do they have like a consumer feedback page?
Yeah, you'll have at least one customer.
I'm going. I'm looking right
now.
Jason's on it. All right.
We can send the whole homebrew club at him.
Come on, Ham's Dark. That sounds wonderful. All right. But so this is kind of a big episode for me because I think this is the first time in a year I'm drinking my own homebrewed beer.
Oh, hell yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Beer, yeah.
Yeah.
Cider, man? Or...
Yeah, I did. Yeah. No, I still have cider. I'm just excited to have my own, beer on tap now. So this is a IPA.
Awesome.
Yep. Was targeted to be a pale ale, kind of overshot it on the hops a little bit because I wasn't planning on brewing this. I just kind of shot from the hip. And decided to do an overnight mash and threw a whole bunch of different hops that I've never used in before. It turned out opaque as all get out, so it's like almost hazy, which I wasn't planning on at all. But it's got an all right nose, tastes all right. I'm happy with it. Drinkable beer.
It's beer. Yeah,
it's beer. Yep, I'm happy with it. So. That's what I've got in my glass. What about you, Jason?
I'm being that guy tonight. I'm actually drinking out of an appropriate glass. I'm just drinking Guinness.
Is that a Guinness in a Guinness glass?
A Guinness in a Guinness glass.
Perfect.
Very, very good.
Keeping it light. And I did some digging, and our anniversary is actually Wednesday. Our first show was on the 11th of May. So happy anniversary.
That means we've been doing about 33, 34 episodes a year. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Cheersies, clinky.
Yeah, definitely cheers.
We should, you should have like a special little half an hour. Anybody that wants to join that's been watching, come in and have a pint together and just kind of BS for 30 minutes. You don't have to make a show out of it, or a special anniversary one.
I was going to say, we kind of tried to do that for Thanksgiving, and it turned into a 4-hour shit show.
Well, the invite is open. I opened it up to the homebrew club earlier, and you bit, Matt, so thank you for that. But if anybody does want to join, let us know in chat. We can get you links. So
I haven't been able to watch and participate as much in the show. Just with life being life, and I didn't have anything going tonight, so I was more than happy to jump on
it. Beautiful evening to be hanging out with us outside.
I know, your view is amazing.
Inside.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I like inside, but that's where my children are. So this is like probably the only place I can actually have a conversation.
Did anybody turn on their AC yet?
Yes.
Did you?
Yeah.
I did in the car. Does that count?
Yeah, no. I think
I did in the car on the way home, but not in the house yet.
I actually, since this is a show about Big Brew, I came home from Big Brew Day, sunburned and hot and sweaty and dirty and happy. And I think the first thing I did is I walked in the door and turned on the air conditioner. So
nice.
That's fair. It's fair.
Yeah.
A sunburn deserves an air conditioner.
We're going to hit this week's, I don't know what we hit today, but we're supposed to be well up into the 80s, all week long. And so I turned it on. Although I'm flying out in the morning, so I guess I don't really care.
You're going to someplace hotter, right?
Yeah, I'm heading to Texas in the morning.
Oh, nice.
Unfortunate for you. Very sorry.
Yeah. Don't knock a girl up. She will have to have it. I'm sorry. You said it was an adult show, right? That's
It
okay.
is
It is an adult
absolutely.
show.
Okay, sorry. It was just a joke for anybody that has an opposing opinion.
So, Big Brew Day.
Big Brew Day.
What is Big Brew Day? Let's start.
I was hoping that you would ask. So so it's funny that before the show started, actually, I was going and seeing what the quote unquote official definition of like Big Brew Day was, and on the AHA's website this year, they say, I had it up for a sec here, but they say that in 1988, May 7th was announced before Congress as National Homebrew Day. And then the American Homebrewers Association created Big Brew Day as an annual event to celebrate National Homebrew Day around the world. So Big Brew Day is supposedly the first Saturday in May to celebrate National Homebrew Day, which is May 7th every year. And I didn't realize the May 7th part before today as National Homebrew Day because that's my birthday. So apparently my birthday every year is National Homebrew Day, and I didn't know that until today. But I went and tried to fact check that, and a couple websites I went to said that National Homebrew Day was actually the first Saturday of May, which would be Big Brew Day. So I don't actually know what's right. I want to believe it's my birthday because
Did we clarify if Big Brew Day and National Homebrew Day are the same day, or can those be
exactly? That's what I can't find.
I am willing to go out on a limb, call it a May thing, but there is Memorial Day and observed Memorial Day. I'm going to say May 7th is National Homebrew Day, and Big Brew Day is the observation of that day.
That's beautiful. I think
Look at that.
Let's call it that.
Logic.
Okay. I'm done with that.
That's it. I'm done for the year.
Call it off. Calling to work.
Calling the dogs off. I'm good. I did it.
So what the AHA does then for like Big Brew Days, they gather up like all of their members and they say, hey, can we get like people to pledge that they're going to brew like 5 gallons of beer, 10 gallons of beer, or whatever this year. And this year, it looks like they got like 887 pledges from 51 states and territories to brew 6,607 gallons of beer.
Does that include us? Did all of
30
us
countries around the world?
pledge?
I pledged only because I got an email about it like a month ago. It's like, hey, go and pledge that you're going to brew or whatever. So I'm sure that more beer was brewed that day than,
I've brewed on Big Brew Day multiple times, and I've never pledged. I should. I'm a bad AHA member.
No.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know it was a thing, or I would have got on and did it. So apparently I'm bad too. I probably got the email. That's the worst part.
Same.
Lots of homebrew clubs do like lots of different things for the event. In previous years, Keepers of Craft Our Homebrew Club has gotten together with breweries like One Well. And we've brewed the same recipe, all of the members on our own homebrew systems, to then combine together with like a half batch that One Well brews. And we mix all of the wort together and they ferment it and then sell it. But they pay for the ingredients, so it's okay. So we've done things like that in the past. I think we have I might still have some cans of like an Imperial Brown Ale that we did at one point in time. That might have been a Big Brew Day thing. Maybe. I can't 100% remember.
Didn't we do like a cot busser?
I think
that was like one of the first ones, like long ago.
Yeah, and I don't know for a fact that was a Big Brew Day one because I don't necessarily remember pouring molasses into my brew pot. I definitely remember pouring it into theirs, but I don't remember.
Oh yeah, well I don't know if that was like for Big Brew Day, but like before the club got big.
Yeah, it was definitely some club event that we did, so I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't know.
This year, the club got together and we broke out into 7, I think, teams of 3, and we designated 4 really generic styles. I think we did wheat beer, Belgian beer,
stout
and porter. Yeah.
Yep.
And then English
I
beer,
hope so.
maybe, or something like that.
I hope Stout and Porter's in there. Otherwise, I'm in
Yeah.
trouble.
Whoop.
We're in trouble.
Matt, we done fucked up.
Ron says that was a Christmas party, so the cutlasser.
Oh,
Sir.
okay.
Oh, you know what? I remember that now. That was like our first or second Christmas party, wasn't it?
What?
It
No,
was a
I don't
long
think
time
it
ago.
was. This was when they were in their small facility, and we could go outside. It was nice out. Pretty sure.
Was
I
that
don't
when you did
remember.
it in the back there?
Yeah.
It was when
was like-
Winwell was brewing at their brewery.
And they brewed.
Yeah.
Or at their-
That's right. You guys did it all out back because I didn't brew that day, but I stopped in with the family and kids because we had something going on, and I just stopped and hung out for a while and had a couple beers. But you guys did all that. That was like six years ago, maybe
Yeah,
five,
at least,
6
yeah.
years ago.
There was like no
It was-
room to move around back there.
Yeah, because OneWell had just bought their production facility. Remember, we had a meeting there, and it
Yep.
was like before it was made. Like, this is going to be this. This is
Yeah,
going to
it
be
was just
that.
Yep,
empty.
yep.
Yeah.
It was
I
that
remember
same.
that.
It was that same year. It's like the inception of our club, really. And
Yep.
then you guys brewed in the back there. That's when that happened. If that's how my memory remembers it. Anyway,
Ron's chiming in here. That wasn't the brown that we canned? Okay, I don't remember. We'll have to, I'm sure somebody has notes somewhere of like the beers that we've actually brewed, but one of them might have been their first New England IPA. Even I feel like we did a New England IPA for them once.
I think so.
Really, I do. I really do think so. And I think that was the beginning of Ripped Right, but I'm not 100% sure. So don't quote
You
me
know
on
what?
that.
I think you're right because that's one I didn't get to try. I've been there. I've been able to try all of them except for one, and it was an IPA.
There was a red at one point in time too, and I feel like we had a clever name for it, some sort of like red IPA, but I don't remember what it was.
I think the red IPA was the beer battle with Collab at
Was it?
Bright Eyes. That was the hoppy. We had like a hoppy red ale.
Yeah, maybe that was the one that had the
Yep,
clever
and we
name.
did have
Okay.
a clever name. It was like Red Rum or
Yeah. What was it? Yeah,
Is
it was
that-
something like
is
that.
that- it's
Yeah,
something
you might
like
have been
that.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this year we broke into 7 teams, and who was it? Somebody's team. I won't say any names, but they brewed a really hoppy wheat beer that looked really New Englandy, even though IPA wasn't one of the styles. So I guess they're pushing the envelope there a little bit, but I'm not I'm not going to say anything. If that's what they want to do, then that's what they can do. But we had I'm looking at my list here. We had an English mild. You guys did a porter, Jason,
American
right?
Porter.
Yeah. What do we got? English brown ale from Patrick and his team. Matt, you
All
said
right.
you guys stout.
Ours is
Yep.
going to be a 4 and extra. We were. I didn't see Jason or Jordan. You weren't there at the end. At 1062 was our
Okay.
readout. So it's going to be a 6.5. So I'm going to call it a 4 and extra
Sweet.
stout.
All right. Yep, that works.
Using like a Imperial Darkness for the yeast or something, or
No, actually, we went with one of the West Coast. Was it Omega 1?
Is that what we found? I know we
Yeah.
were thinking Omega
We wanted
2.
to do it. We wanted to get an Omega 2, but Omega 1 was our backup, and that's what Chris found up in Grand Rapids.
Okay.
So it's going to be a hopefully it should clean out because it's basically whatever 01
Chico
or
style.
05 or it's yeah. So we'll see. I tend to when I brewed them, I'm interested to see how this one turns out because when I have brewed similar beers before, I always used either the pub or the tartan, the Scotch yeast in there. So I want to see how this works with it.
those are my go-to yeast too for like the stronger. Well, I guess 6 point. What'd you say? 6.2. It's not like super strong, but I like tartan.
Well, no. A 1062 is our OG.
Oh, that was your
so-
gravity. Okay.
So it could get down to, or it could get up to what 6.5, 7%, depending on how
Yeah.
much it dries out.
Yep.
The 4 and extra, yeah.
But that's for an extra range, if I remember correctly.
So I like foreign extras. They're good.
I love them.
Yeah.
I Guinness foreign extra is my favorite.
Yes.
Go to like commercial style. I guess they're commercial for sure, but I love Guinness foreign extra. I think it's really good.
I want to just share the this picture here because that's the homebrew club that was out there for the day. So yeah, thanks
That was a
for
hell of a
everybody
turnout.
for joining. Yeah, it was a great
Yeah,
turnout.
actually, I mean, like we're still missing a few because a couple had to like Jordan had a family things to do, which is understandable, and we had a great turnout, man. It was a great, and the day was great. I mean, holy cow, the beer god smiled on us on Saturday for sure.
It was literally raining like all week, and then it was like 70 degrees and sunny. So
Yeah,
just
yeah.
gorgeous.
What was the poll going around there? How many burnt necks do we have?
Oh yeah, and it was definitely more burnt than not burnt.
Oh, I got fried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shayna specifically told me to put on sunscreen, and I didn't. Well, we got out of the people that we got voting, we had 7 votes for burned, 5 for not, and 1 for my neck was already burned to shit after going to New Orleans. So yeah.
In my defense, I would have been burned to shit, but I brewed inside.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that saved me. Half the day I was not outside. So
It felt like every time I was like, "Fuck, you're in the sun," go under one of the 7 canopies that we had, and then next thing you know, I'm standing back out in the sun again talking. So
I felt like I was under the canopy a lot.
Don't get under the green one. It alters the colors. It screws everything up.
Oh my God. I still have to send a fucking apology to Mark because my green canopy made all the food look the same.
Wait, what? So what happened? Is it?
Oh, nothing.
We put the food table under my green canopy, and it was slightly challenging maybe to tell the difference between potato salad and guacamole.
Coleslaw.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, it was all good food. Figure it out, Mark.
Right. put stuff on your plate.
Eat and enjoy.
Yep.
Yeah. Then take it out in the sun and figure out what you want to eat, what you don't.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's more fun. Maybe you'll try more things because you don't know what they are.
Or just mix it all together.
I like it. It's a stew.
Speaking of trying things, I had a fish taco, and it didn't kill me. I'm still alive. And in fact, I could even go as far as saying that I enjoyed it.
Wait, what? Wait, how have you never had a fish taco?
Because I don't like fish.
I don't like fish.
You don't like fishy fish. See,
I must
used
not.
to be that way. See, my growing up, I had a person that made fish. I will not name names, but they lived in my house. They made fish, and it was always fishy. And I'm like, I hate fish. This is the worst ever. And then I actually tried it again later on in life, and did like a cod or fish and chips. I think, I'm Irish, so I got to do fish and chips, right? And it's like, oh, hey, this doesn't taste fishy. I can do this. And so it's really, for me, it's about how it's prepared. If it's fishy, I can't do it. Like bad seafood is fishy, but I love seafood, so you might, just keep giving it a try. It's kind of like IPAs when you're a new drinker.
That's
like
fair.
you can't do them. And then all of a sudden, that's all you want to do for a while.
Okay.
Okay.
I got you to eat a fried oyster in California, and that didn't kill you.
You did. Yeah.
Wow.
It wasn't the worst. It was far from the best.
We got to get him to try raw oyster at some point.
I've had raw oyster before. I had it at a food pairing that I did. It was a Founders food pairing, I think, downtown Kalamazoo a long
Leave
time
it
ago.
to Founders.
Yeah, they paired it with like a Pilsner or something. I don't know, but
yeah, you can pair that with anything just as long as you
I had
slug
one.
it down.
Right?
I need to whatever you have that's liquid, I'm going to slug down after.
Don't mind slurping down sea mucus.
You can pair oyster with any beer.
Raw oysters are delightful.
Oh no, I love them. I think they're great.
I actually have a friend of ours. me and a buddy went and did a road trip a couple years ago, or a year or two ago. We wound up in Boston, spur of the moment, in the middle of COVID, sitting at this beautiful restaurant, kind of looking out by the ocean, and we ordered oysters, and they screwed up our order. And we wound up getting like 24 free oysters.
Ooh.
And we're taking these pictures and sending them back to our wives. And his wife, always kind of flips me off and tells me off for having this amazing oyster meal in Boston with her husband when she wasn't there. So for her 50th birthday this month, I'm going to ship in some oysters.
Nice.
I think I can get 6 dozen shipped in pretty cheap, and so we're gonna have a little oyster party.
Nice.
What restaurant did you go to in Boston?
So it was right down on the harbor. You're like the second person that's asked me this recently, and I can't remember. It was John Sutton and I. We had a bottle of Upland Pawpaw Fruit Sour, which was like a $70, bomber of beer, and then these amazing oysters and some lobster rolls. Truly one of the more beautiful and romantic meals I've ever had. I always have that special moment with John. It was beautiful. But no, I don't remember the name of the restaurant. It was like across the street from someplace called Pink Taco. I can't forget that. I mean,
I'm gonna look this up. I spent some time in Boston, a while ago, and I went. There was one place I wanted to go to, and they had like a 3-hour wait for food. I'm like, son of a bitch! Like, no, I don't want to do that. So I went to another bar or brewery that was like just down the road, and they're like, no, we don't serve food. Like, what? Like, okay.
So this always fails because of my blur, but I will do my best to show you this. Let me get rid of the blur. So the only picture that I took from the night was the one that says Pink Taco. You can't even tell. That is the sign of the bar across the street, Pink Taco. So
well, it is shaped correctly. The sign. Good Lord.
No, we had beers at Trillium in downtown Boston, and then we walked over to this restaurant, and yeah, it was truly magical, beautiful.
I'm looking. I'm like scrolling through Google Maps, like Street View and stuff like that right now, trying to like find it, but so I'm curious, but it's not cooperating.
It cracks me up because because it's her birthday and we're going to do this oyster thing. We've been talking about it recently, and so somebody else asked me that too. Like, where were you? And I'm like, why is that important?
Well, when you make a place sound so magical, people want to go and try it when they're there to see if they can have your same experience.
It's true.
So my guess, looking at the map off the top of my head, I would say we were probably at row 34.
Okay.
But it seems like I could see the ocean at some point.
Um,
Or was that just the alcohol?
No, I mean, if you look down the street.
Could have been the urinal.
A block away. Could have been a urinal. Yeah, it looks like it was row 34. So shout out to row 34. The waitress was lovely. She fucked up our first order of oysters. We wound up getting a bunch of them for free. We actually closed the bar down, and the that bottle of Upland Pawpaw Sour that we shared. There were some wait. The wait staff was starting to clean the tables around us, and we had some left, and we had to finish it, and we wound up splitting it with like 3 or 4 waiters, or letting them.
Oh, nice!
Sample, and they really enjoyed it. So it was really super cool. Great place. Fantastic oysters. And yeah, if you're gonna pop a $70 bottle of beer, share it.
Absolutely.
It's good life advice. I brought a not quite a $70 beer, and not quite a rare beer, but I brought we had some like worldwide stout at Big Brew Day, and I think some other random beers like that. I brought a New Holland triple mash. Shayna's dad brought for me, which was mostly because I didn't want to drink a 17% beer by myself.
Right.
But
was it this year's?
It's like how can you tell you're getting old? Like you don't want to split a high ABV or drink a high ABV beer by yourself.
Was it this year's triple mash?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you can still find them around. They're at Harding's and stuff.
Yeah, I got a 4-pack of it when I saw it because I absolutely love triple mash, but I was a little less impressed by this year's. It wasn't quite as like dark.
Sweet. Oh yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it was very well. It was less. So I only had a sip just because I wanted everybody else to be able to have some too. But even the pour in the glass was more like brown, right? Was that what you're like saying? Like,
yeah.
It was still good. It was still fairly sweet, and the barrel character was there and stuff like that. Like,
I don't feel like the flavor changed at all, but the appearance was definitely not what it was a few years ago. I might still have a 2019 bottle, I think. I don't know. I should try to do a side by side.
Do it. We'll do a whole show on it.
I did.
We'll just sit there and watch you drink.
Watch me drink 2 16% beers or 18%.
Yeah. What's up, Matt?
Oh no, I was just gonna say I had one of those. So my in-laws live in Holland, so we always there's a good chance we end up at New Holland for a meal at some point during a weekend, and so we were there the first inaugural run of that, and I got a 5-ounce pour, and I mean it was pretty good, but but it wasn't like I don't know. It seemed like it was a little overhyped for its 17%, and it's good. I've had better wine.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, it was, but 5 ounces was like I couldn't have any more. You know what I mean? Like I'm normally not that guy, but I couldn't have more than a 5-ounce pour of that.
Yeah,
it was too much.
I think I had.
It was flavorful, with too much.
I think I had a half an ounce of what Brian brought, and that was enough.
Mm-hmm.
I will have to say, I mean, it was good. If I'm looking at those big super boozy imperial stouts like that, I for some reason worldwide stands out more in my head. But
part of it too is like those are the beers of like yesteryear, like 120 minute and the Dragon's Milk triple mash and worldwide stout, like they're kind of like meme beers now or something. It's just like you don't really buy them because like you're like, oh my god, like yes, this is exactly what I want in my fridge. You buy it because it's like, that'd be fun to drink that fucking 15% beer. Like, yeah. So,
but they really were like the precursors to the pastry stout craze.
Totally, absolutely, yeah.
So I mean, respect to them for not having agave nectar and maple syrup and fucking all the other shit that everybody throws into a pastry stout.
Whole cakes.
For no goddamn reason. So
pies.
An actual cake.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Brian, you're a superhero in my house right now. My kids have enjoyed all of your cake. So
perfect.
The taste buds are happy and the beatings have gone up.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah. Jason, thank you for buying me a cake for my birthday, and so you can thank Jason. He's the one that he bought the cake.
You paid it forward. Hey, that's all right. I'll take the punishment. Kids loved it though.
I got it, even though I knew that Brian wasn't really big on sweet things, and that's not his thing. But I'm like, screw it, I don't care. It's his birthday. He gets a cake, and
everybody gets cake on their birthday, man.
And then it was hilarious to actually see him kind of. I think you might have been a little tipsy, but you were all about that cake when you were eating it. So
it was so good. It was so moist.
But then I really am glad that you took it home because I figured you'd have just
the only one that works.
So glad your kids are enjoying, Matt. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm yelling at them now. They're all hopped up on it. They just ate the last of it. So,
there was like half a cake left, and that was just like 2 days ago.
oh my God, you have no idea what three boys can do to a cake. I'm surprised they made
Lord.
it last this long. It's amazing. No, they love it. They appreciate it, man. So
That's awesome.
I'm thanking you on their behalf.
Yeah, definitely did not need to come home here. We brought home a whole tub of grape stuff. So basically,
grape
nobody really had any.
I'm confused.
I think I forgot about it. I didn't. I really wanted. I've told
was it
Shayna I need to try that.
Is it in a gallon jug like grape drink, or I mean, what?
It was in we had it in a metal mixing bowl with a lid on it. We probably should have taken the lid off, but we're trying to keep it cold. It's basically red grapes in whipped cream with like extra sugar.
It sounds wonderful.
And you just mix it all around. Yeah, you're just eating like delicious, like tart red grapes and sugar and whipped cream.
You do know there's a giant refrigerator at the lab that we could have just put it in until it's time to.
But then it would still be in your refrigerator at the lab.
It probably would be. Yep. It probably should have stuck it in there.
Well, somebody would have ate it. There's still 4 guys that go there all the time.
There's probably I gave you. I think we had leftover egg salad when we were leaving and something else. So hopefully somebody's eating that.
I told Tosh, he's asking me about all this. I said, whatever's in there, you can have. He goes, the beers. I'm like, yeah, those were free beers, which we should shout out. Jacob,
Hot Butcher.
Oh yeah,
Hot Butcher and Jacob, man. Like I've got about 10 awesome beers sitting in the fridge there that I can enjoy with Dan and Tosh and Neil, the owner. So shout out to Mr. Downey if he's listening or whatnot.
Yeah, he dropped off 5 cases of beer from Hot Butcher for us, and
about 40 pounds of hops.
Yeah, was it 40? Do you think it was at least that?
It was literally. That's not an exaggeration.
Yeah,
it was. We ran out of Ziploc bags trying to give it out. That's how much it was.
I think maybe Patrick took the rest home, and we're going to bring it to the next homebrew club meeting or something.
Yeah.
I don't really know. He's like going to prepackage it. I'm not sure, but
he was really excited about that. By the way, about taking all those home and packaging. He was pretty excited.
Good. Yeah, I mean, literally, if he didn't do that, I think the rest of them were going to go into the trash. So,
yeah, they're like, "Can we throw these?" I'm like, "You see my mini fridge? There's not enough freezer space for 30 pounds of hops." So, nope.
But, if anybody listening needs hops, I think we had like some Tettnang, some Comet left over. There's probably some Amarillo left over, maybe. So like hit us up on the Facebook page. I'm sure we can hook you up. And if you're not following the Keeper's Facebook page and you want to see pictures from the event, definitely, like and follow the Keepers of Craft Facebook page. Ron took at least 40 pictures that are posted to the page that are all amazing of like the fun that we were having. So I took some myself. I was going to post them on the Michigan Brews page and then alcohol. So I still have them. Maybe I will. This is the recap episode, so maybe I'll put them up in honor of this episode. But they do not rival Ron's in any way whatsoever.
No, Ron, man. Every time I turned around, Ron was snapping a picture. Also, I want to shout out. Speaking of my kids being bad, Patrick's kids were there all day and were absolutely awesome. Like that they bothered no one at any point in time, and at points looked like they were enjoying themselves. So,
did you say that while your kids were in earshot?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'll tell them. I'll tell them.
He's throwing some dad shit right now.
I'll throw some awesome kids right in their face.
I'm gonna take some notes on this. I've got a boy. Yeah.
Oh, your boy was awesome. He came over and dropped the grains off the other night, and he took a minute to warm up, but he got all up into the toys and everything else once he got warmed up.
Yep, it takes him a second, but he gets there.
Yeah, you're gonna keep your eye on him. He likes to play with sharp, dangerous things.
Yes, he does. And fire.
Geez.
lighters.
All he wanted to do was go into the wood shop
Yeah.
and play with all the machines. Right there. To Charlie's point, he's like, no, Charlie. Yeah, it's not a good 2-year-old spot.
Yeah, that's
They learn
pretty much my
quick
life.
that way, though. I'm telling you.
Yeah, without some fingers.
Yeah,
I got 10.
That's
I don't
true.
think
I mean, hey,
got extras.
how many do you really need? I mean, as long as you can pick up a glass,
Yeah, a couple thumbs. Yeah.
a couple of opposing thumbs, and you're good. You can still flush a toilet.
Brandon, yeah, weren't we making a joke about Brandon brewing Patrick brewing a 30-pound like IPA when like he took all those hops home, like just like a giant
Yeah.
whirlpool.
Fucking 6,000 IBUs.
Yeah, he just ends up it's like a pint's worth of
He's
alcohol
gonna
at the end
do
of
it.
the day or something.
He's going to do a 620-minute IPA.
Yeah.
He's just going to brew it for a night and just slowly matriculate hops in there.
We're gonna live stream it. We'll get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be the most viewed show, I bet.
What's up, Matt? Thank you for joining us tonight, man.
Hey, Matt.
Matt, we're gonna be seeing on the 21st. Other Matt, sorry, McQuillan. I'm sorry.
No,
Matt,
hey, there's
Matt,
better Matts. There's better Matts than me. I know that.
There's many good Matts. So Matt, we're going to be seeing on the 21st for the second Big Brew Day we're doing this month.
Ooh.
It's named the same thing. It's confusing.
It's an event put on by Pontiac Brew Tribe at Rochester Mills in Detroit. They do call it Big Brew, but I think they should call it Bigger Brew Day, because it's like 90. They said in the past they've had like 90 different brew rigs out at the Rochester Mills production facility, and Rochester Mills provides nearly all of the ingredients and stuff to make a beer, limited to what they have to offer. It's definitely going to be bigger.
Oh yeah, Matt, it's going to be huge. There's going to be like a couple hundred people there minimum.
So it's I think it ties into something they're doing with the community for charity. I'm not 100% sure. We were just invited on it. If you go back a few episodes, we did have the Pontiac Brew Tribe on, and we talked about it then. So Brian and I are going to be hauling his rig over. We're going to hook up, with Matt Ushman from Trouble Brewing. And Matt, I believe you're going to try to do a Trouble Brewing episode on it, right? Or a grain of glass.
Like a grain of glass? Yeah.
That would be awesome. We're also hoping that Barb, Siren Stout, can come out and hang out with us. We'll capture some pictures and we'll do some kind of post on Michigan Brews, but it's really to go out to the east side, hang out with those folks over there, kind of get kind of a little preview, pre-homebrew fest, exposure to our east side folks.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what are we brewing, Brian? We're brewing a Marzen.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for remembering that, because I did not.
Good time, everyone.
What did we decide on? Hold on. We put together the recipe the other day. I don't remember when we put together the recipe.
I don't either.
I know we did. Somehow we settled on about 5 pounds of Munich, 5 pounds of Pilsner, 2 pounds of Vienna, and a itty bitty little bit of Melanoidin. Tet at 60, Tet at 10, an ounce for each edition, and then a couple big ass starter of Imperial's Harvest yeast. So should be good, I think.
Let me see if I can find something more official on it. But yeah, no, that's going to be awesome. And like I said, hopefully Matt will come out, we'll do a video on that. So we'll have something up over, he will have something up over on his Trouble Brewing channel on YouTube. And then I'm sure we'll talk about it on a future show, but we'll try to get some posts up on the Michigan Brews Facebook page.
This beer will also go into a competition, I think, with all the other beers out there.
Yes.
And I don't know what the prize is, bragging rights or something, but that'll be cool too.
Actually, I think, and I'm going to try to find it. I'm looking real quick, but I actually think that winner might get to brew it somewhere.
Oh, you are right. Is it at Rochester? Is it? Oh, is it Brewery Becker? Or was
No,
that Deathmatch or
no,
something?
Celebrity Deathmatch. So that was actually, I mean, something else we can talk about if we want to divert.
We should.
Again. But
Yeah, we should.
we did Celebrity Deathmatch, which is a small competition. It's kind of invite only. You have to be one of 5 clubs to participate in. So Keepers of Craft got invited this year.
In Michigan.
5 clubs in Michigan. We got to go out to Brian, David Jones, Tim Wickland, and myself got to go out from Keepers of Craft and help with the judging, stewarding, and kind of the competition itself. The winner of that competition was Daniel Kukic from Motor City Mashers,
Mm-hmm.
and his Best of Show beer will go on at Brewery Becker sometime in the future.
Kentucky Common?
It was.
I was gonna say, what did he make? It's Kentucky Common.
Yeah, oddly enough, but it was a good beer. I'm pretty sure. I think
it was.
I think
it
most
was
of us
the
got to try
it was
that
the
one
best.
point.
It was the best beer.
It was the best beer. It oddly ended up coming down between that and like there were only so many styles that we could brew for this competition. First of all, so it's not like everybody's entering.
Look at Danny checking us out.
There he is. Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice. Yeah. Congrats on that. Again, by the way, since
like historical beer was one of like the bigger categories. There were like 10 or 12 like Kentucky Commons and pre-prohibition like porters and pre-prohibition like lagers and stuff like that. Like it was kind of a crazy turnout for like
I feel
that
like that's
style.
a show just discussing that beer category.
These were like the first ones I really have ever tried too, because it's not like a style that breweries brew. That's more of just like a recognized like BJCP thing.
I came across the brewery in, I think it's called Belmont, the city. Archival, I think it was called, up towards Grand Rapids, and all they apparently do is historical or lost styles.
Oh,
yeah, it's the only other place I've ever seen that had a cop buster on.
I was just gonna say, so they had a cop buster too. Okay,
yeah, exactly. Which I am quickly like the only other place I've had it, which I brought up earlier in the show, was at One Well, and loved it, absolutely loved it. And I loved this one too. So I think that's going to be something that I try to brew because it's cool. A style that just stuck in my brain. And
no, that's cool, man.
I want it.
What style is that again, Jordan?
Cop busser.
What? So can you explain that to me? I've never heard of it. Or is that asking too much?
No. So I'd have to pull up a recipe or something like that. But from what I gather, reason why it was a lost style is because it was a style of beer that was brewed before the German purity law, and it contains like oats and molasses. But I want to say it's kind of like a Marzen style, but yeah, it contains oats and molasses. Sounds like somebody's looking it up. But I can hear you clicking away. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know. It just has this wonderful, like, malty, unique flavor, and I love them.
Is there a
few that I've had?
Is there a specific like yeast or temperature that it has to? I mean, it's a Marzen, so is it lagered? I mean,
maybe Marzen. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
Just like a clean.
I'm sorry,
ale
I didn't
flavor,
mean to make a big thing. I'm just super interested in this style that you're raving about that I have never heard of.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm striking out here.
It's so as I understand it, it's not necessarily brewed with lager yeast, but it is lagered, like so many of the other like old beers were. So
Yep.
So kind of like my Baltic porter.
Yes, I was just going to say. So you
trying
probably
to get a lager
can.
yeast that'll be active at 60 degrees or whatnot.
I bet, Jordan, if you wanted to brew one and So I don't know, but I would say maybe even like 3470 at like 65 could produce like maybe a good like flavor in it or something. I don't know. It sounds like it would be delicious. As I've poked around the internet, most people are saying like clean ales like USO5 and stuff, but I don't know. I think
I was gonna say
3470 at 65 or something would be good too.
The one recipe that I'm looking at right now would be Pilsen wheat, flaked oats, molasses, honey, a lot of like German style hops like Hallertau.
It sounds wild. Are these supposed to be strong? Like, what's the ABV range for these?
This one says approximately 7%, but yeah, I think the two versions that I've had have set right around 6.5 to 7.
Okay.
So a little stronger than what you would normally find in a
old style.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just I think there's something with that addition of molasses that just gives it a unique flavor.
Yeah, Danny's talking about Brew Becker too again, and we saw him brew some like I think he did like a raw ale last year, right, or something out at the Michigan Homebrew Festival. He brewed on one of his like historical setups and stuff like that out there. Said we didn't get to check it out while we were out there. We had a bookie on home, but next time we're out to the Brighton area, I'm definitely gonna stop by.
Yeah. So I'm struggling. So I've been looking up the information on Big Brew Day that we're going to be out there for on the 21st. They have it open in 90 spots, but I can't find the actual registration site to see if there's an indicator on how many they have taken. But also any beer brewed on that day, they are going to get back together. And so any beer brewed on site on the 21st, they're going to get back together on the 9th of July, and they're going to judge the beer. And there will be some, it could just be bragging rights. I thought that Rich mentioned something about the winning brew going on tap somewhere, but I don't see anything specific to it.
Is it going to be like a hedonistic judging? Like just, this beer is good, this beer sucks. Like,
I'm almost positive that it's hedonistic. It's going to be like, if I remember, and you'd have to go back to check out the episode, but if I remember right, it was going to be one of those things, kind of everybody would be able to try the beers and vote. I could be completely fucking wrong.
Regardless, it's going to be fun.
If you're in the area, May 21st, Saturday, check out Big Brew Day 2022, or Google that, or Rochester Mills Big Brew Day. I'm going to actually, I think I should be able to post this link. Should be accessible. We'll see. I got to it through the Michigan Homebrew Club president, so I don't know if that might be.
We can't click on it through like the admin feed here, but I'm sure you tell us in chat if that link works or not. If not, we'll figure it out.
But anyway, we're coming out with us.
Yeah, we'll be out there. Are we bringing the? We don't have a Michigan Brews banner. Are we bringing like the KOC banner or something like that? Like, I don't know.
I don't have a Michigan Brews banner.
Should we make a Michigan Brews banner? We have 2 weeks.
That's
how fast can you get a fucking banner?
Just get some poster board and markers, man.
Yeah, exactly. Totally.
It'll be sweet.
Shayna has a Cricut. We can make up to like a 12-inch like vinyl like logo.
We could use it at Homebrew Fest too.
Ooh. Let's see, Vistaprint. How fast can I get a fucking banner? Let's go.
6 days.
I don't know.
4 foot grommets.
I don't know if many of our viewers know this, but half of our business is done here live on air. So you get to see it.
I think when we ordered the dried shrimp for the
yes, we did.
The shrimp IPA, I think that was done live. Yeah.
So what you're saying is there's no behind the scenes show that's coming up.
No, we don't
podcast later. Yeah,
we don't charge any money for this.
Yeah.
and you all are here listening. Fuck, we don't know why.
For our entertainment.
You make us
Right.
feel good. That's
The beer helps us, a little bit too.
Hey, it gives everybody a reason to have a beverage on a Monday night.
You know what? What was the reason besides it being a Monday? Like, right? Like nobody's down on a Monday night. Like they just got off of work. Like
Mondays
there's nothing
suck.
to look forward to the rest of the week until the weekend. Yeah, Mondays suck.
So, yeah, have a beer and let's talk about making beer
Yeah, cheers.
or
I
good
kind of
beer.
think
Or
that's really where it came from. I think the first day that we threw, or at least the one that I threw out, was Thursday, but Brian's busy on that day, so
for
We,
3/4 of the year.
right. Yep. So we eventually just came down on Mondays because why the hell not?
Suppose we should all be like Matt. He says, I don't need a reason to have a beer. Especially when you have it on tap too, right? You can just you're walking by your keys and you're just like, well, maybe I just need to see how the carbonation's doing, even though it's been on tap for 3 weeks.
oh my God, my wife already knows that trick. Like, what are you doing? I'm just checking the carbonation. She's like, "You're full of shit.
Yeah.
You need a whole beer to check the carbonation? Absolutely, I do.
Well, you also got to check to see how the temperature works on it. It's
I gotta adjust. I don't know if I need more or less. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things and stuff that go into this. Not just drinking a beer. But then typically she'd be like, no, just check one for me.
you're
Okay.
doing science. That's what it is. That's what
Hell
all
yeah.
this is.
It's
Jason,
research, man.
to finish on your celebrity deathmatch thing earlier, the winning club. So there's a club that wins and gets to keep the mash paddle. Did we go over that part?
No, we didn't. Go.
Okay.
Hold on while I finish ordering this banner.
Are you fucking kidding me? Are you
It's
designing it too?
It's all happening. You guys have no say. If you don't like it, it's Jason's banner.
It doesn't matter. No, there's no money involved in this. It's all
Yeah.
whatever we want to chuck into it. So
He's got all the official logos and everything, so he just we got
I'm
it.
just having
make sure
fun.
it's tricolor.
Technicolor.
Yeah, I want the green on there. But so out of the 5 clubs, the club with the most points ends up taking the mash paddle with all of the club's logos burned onto it, home for the year. And this year it was AABG, or Ann Arbor Brewers Guild. They won it by quite a few points. They killed it this year. Keepers came in 3rd, so we were right in the middle of the pack, which is pretty good, I think, for a new club. Who came in 2nd?
Motor City Mashers.
Motor City, and I think they, this isn't a bash.
We're
Motor
talking
City
about
Mashers,
Homebrew
but-
Fest, right?
But Danny, got best of show, and so they got
They
some
best of
extra
show.
points.
Pull down those extra points.
Yeah.
I was
So
I was a little I mean, whatever. I was like, how does a 40.1 beer lose to it was another Keepers of Craft, Blakesley. I'm like, I lost to you. He's like, yeah, I got a 30, 38 or 39. I'm like, I got a 40. How did I lose to you?
do you want to know how
Damn
this
it.
works? Let's go over how it works. So
Let's do it.
Yeah, it was explained to me, but I mean, I think it'd be better served if you told everybody.
yeah, no, absolutely. So what happens is we're presented judges are typically paired up in groups of 2 or 3, and it was 2 for this event. And so as we're going through a flight of beers, which is somewhere between 6 and 8 for this event, I think, and we're tasting the beers and we're scoring the beers, and again, it can change event to event, but for this event, judges would decide as a pair whether we wanted a beer to move on to the mini best of show for that style or not. And so the styles we had were laborious, which was like lagers and stuff like that. Like historical was its own thing. Like the strong beers, like barley wines and old ales and stuff, were their own thing. I think like IPAs were like by popular demand, and there was one other style too that I can't remember, but maybe
It was Baltic Porter. That was
Yeah,
the
just
inspiration.
Baltic Porter.
It was.
Yeah.
It's the inspiration for this, but I didn't get it done in time. So I was like, shit, I guess I'm just going to put this IPA in.
so the beers they get scored, and as you know, beers get passed back to the stewards. We're like, yeah, this needs to go into best of show, this doesn't, yada yada yada. So mini best of show is then done by 3 judges, and it's pretty much it's not like totally hedonistic, but it's like there's no more scores involved anymore. You're sitting there drinking every beer that got passed on to mini best of show, which could be like, 4 beers, could be, I think one, one of the, it might, was it the historicals? It was either the historicals or like the like strong beers. There were like 8 or 10 in the mini best of show. 12 Jesus. So like you're sitting there with 12 beers in front of you, on a grid basically, and you're like tasting all of them. You're like, this one, this one just is, it's not cutting it for me. And everybody's like, yeah, I agree. And you're slowly either like being like, yeah, this one really needs to stay, or this one really needs to go away. And in the end, you're essentially left with 3 beers, the top 3 beers. And it's like, okay, which one's the best, or which one's the worst out of these 3? Or so at that point, it's not necessarily scores. It's sort of like what really is within style parameters, but like what's just well brewed too, like what really meshes, what really jives. And some of those best of show judges may not have tasted that beer for the actual scoring too, so you're potentially even getting another palate that has never tasted that beer before. And it's just it's the maybe not the best way, but it's a pretty dang good way to sort of really
they do let
narrow that down.
They try to get the most experienced or more experienced judges.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so
poor Gail was like part of every one of those, I swear.
Yeah, no, I mean it's cool, but as Danny said, yeah, I mean it is possible that the best in show beer didn't get the highest score.
Oh yeah, easily.
The scores have nothing to do with it at that point.
Yep. And I just a question to you, Brian, that's now been involved with it and done some tastings. When you get down to that final 3, like you kind of touched on it, but like, do you go with like, okay, which one's the best, or hey, all right, let's taste these 3, let's figure out which one's the worst, which one do we not like the most? I mean, like what's the mindset, just out of curiosity?
I feel like when watching the judges, I try to pay attention a lot to when they were doing the best in shows or the mini boss. And I feel like what they try to do is if they had a larger field, they tried eliminating things first. And so
this is not going to cut it.
Yep. And okay. It actually went around and I saw them like, in one mini boss, they were sitting there and they had, I think 8, and there were like 3 judges, and they basically said, okay, which one do you like the least? And each judge kind of picked their one, and those just got dumped. They're out.
Okay. Okay.
Trying to get it down to a more manageable field. And then they started having those conversations. And there's some judges that were really passionate about, one beer over the other, or why, and then that's where they really get to dig into, what about that beer makes it special, and try to convince the others. It's a neat process.
Follow-up question, if you don't mind.
Well, first off, hold on.
Yep,
the neatest thing about this is we got a banner, guys. It'll be here in time for Big Day.
Oh my God.
Sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. I just, being someone that likes to compete and try and throw my beers in and figure out what's going on behind the scenes. Like, so when they get to that conversation about, say they're talking about the top 3, how are we going to make it 1, 2, 3? We've eliminated the ones where we all say, they're not the best of the best. Like, what are some of those conversations? Did they talk about, hey, he's happy about the banner. So did they talk about like how on point of style it is, Is that part? I mean, is that part of the conversation?
Yeah,
Is it flavor profile driven? Is it, you know what I mean?
it gets
Like
real.
what
It gets
drives
real
those conversations?
it gets real nitpicky at that point. I think is, from watching a lot, and especially when Brian and I got to judge Keeper's Cup. I actually heard them say that one of the judges, it might have been Mike or Gail, was like, this Flanders is somebody. No, it was the other way. Somebody said something like, this Flanders could be more Flandery. Like, and they're talking about that, but they do get into. I'm not using the right words here. They are very subjective at that point. I mean, I think if there was a flaw, the problem is, Matt, when you get to that table, right, your beer doesn't really have flaws, right? You're talking about, you've got a very highly scored, very drinkable, good example of style. So they're not nitpicking to style, especially when, there may be in our categories, the mature category in particular had how many different styles could have fit into that mature category that they're comparing against each other.
There was barley wine, wheat wine, old ale, for sure. And then I think we had there was a barrel aged imperial stout, at least one that I had. I think maybe experimental might have gotten mixed into that too.
Yeah. So it's not like they're really, kind of like diving into the style guidelines specifically, because the beers that make a mini best of show or a best of show table, they're there, right? They've already been through that kind of pace. So now I think they're really they're picking out the special nuances, that make that beer a special beer, on why it's, either just incredibly balanced, or there's some particular, the hop characteristic stands out. I don't know.
Yeah,
we could probably get some of these guys, Mike and Gail and Tom and some of the other guys on to talk about.
That'd be a good show.
How the hell do you pick a mini boss or a boss?
Yeah.
I mean,
I would, yeah, I'd love to.
So yeah, so like my question back would be, like, as somebody who's trying to, at this point, I've made enough beers where like I want to try and like get good feedback and try and score and see if I can make a great style of this beer, as according to people that judge beers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but if you want to be successful in competitions, what you're saying is you have to make the beer to style and have no character flaws, of course, and get to that special and get to the next table. When you get to that table, there's the tricky part. You got to have something that's special about that beer, but it can't drive it out of the character range of said beer. You know what I'm saying? So like, what's that magic thing? That's the question. What's that magic thing that we can put in there to set my beer apart on a table of three?
I get it. Like, you know what? For somebody that, I've had a Berliner Weiss go to the final table, I don't know how many fucking times, and score, go there with scores 44, 45, 46. Like, and every judge tell me that's a perfect example of style. And then it gets to that final table where it's matched up against fruited fucking lambics.
Lambics, yeah.
Gets its ass handed to it, right? Because those big, bold fucking flavors, that Cherry Creek kicks the living shit out of my plain ass Berliner Weiss. So you're right. There is some of that. It really, I think it depends on the category and kind of what gets put in the mix and what, those 3 to 5 people are sitting around tasting at that moment. When I was coming up in brewing, and the books that I've read the most, I point up here because that's where they're all at. I was really big on radical brewing and extreme brewing and always, kind of targeting having that one bold flavor to set you out or make you stand out in a competition. But then you go back to Danny, who just brewed a kick-ass fucking Kentucky Common. So what was the standout flavor there? So it's subjective.
It's I think it's more important to make a beer that is really tasty, like on the palate, more than anything else. Like just a really good tasting beer. Like think about just like going to like your favorite brewery and ordering your favorite beer there, and just the way that it makes you feel like in your head, like as you drink that. And just a beer that elicits that feeling, out of you or a judge or something like that. And that's why it's so hard, is because all four of us that are doing this right now, and everybody listening, all has a different beer for that. And so there's a lot of unfortunate, like, and you're never going to get around it. That's why the BJCP like style guidelines exist, and that's why the um, the scoring is kind of strict, really, if you get down to it. But like, it's to try to eliminate that as much as possible. But like, there's a lot of bias. But at the end of the day, it's not hard to tell a good beer apart from a bad beer. Like there are beers where you drink and you're just like I wouldn't buy a pint of this.
But mini best of show and best of show is trying to pick out the best beer from some really fucking good beer.
It is. Right. It totally is.
That's what's different. Is they're all good beers. Every one of those 5 beers on the table that day were good fucking beers.
It's tough because it sounds like it's almost entirely subjective.
Yeah.
So which means it could very well, vary. And this might be something from, Gale, but it could very well vary. The process could vary from competition to competition on
one of the beers that
I mean,
go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you, but no. From what I'm gathering is like really what you need. I mean, the reality is if you make a good beer to style, it'll get you to that final table, and then it's just sometimes it's I like this beer better than I like that one.
And there's luck. Yep. Totally.
Hey, winning the Bell's homebrew competition is a shitload of luck. It's not like I brewed something to style or anything else. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Like that was just, I got lucky. Somebody liked apricot that day. So I like.
It was a good beer.
It was, but there were a million good, like everybody brought their beer that they submitted to the Arts House, and like everybody made a great beer.
It is absolutely,
but it's just so like that's why I prefer like meddling in like the Michigan Homebrew Cup or any other competition that I put my beer in is way more important to me than, hey, your beer tasted better than I had somebody that liked my beer that day. You know what I mean? Like I think at some point it gets it can't be, because if you just judged it based on BJCP things, then the ones that are most suitable to that description should be the winner. But like I said, we have to sit here and talk about what can stand my beer apart, because I can have a beer that nails everything. I get a 50-point beer and not win at the table because this guy put some blueberries in it, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, my point is it's very hard. Like if you get to that final table, you should be super happy with the product that you put out. Like everybody agrees it's an awesome beer.
Yep.
It kind of gets subjective after that.
Most brew software these days will say if you made it to the mini best of show or not. And if you made it to the mini best of show, like you brewed an excellent beer. Do not feel bad for yourself or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I think going back to your point, Matt, you're absolutely right. So like, what do you do? I don't know. I guess if that's where the show is going tonight, that's where the show is going tonight. But,
hey, we brewed. Big Brew Day was a competition brew.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We're not off track.
Celebrity Deathmatch. I fought for a beer and push it through to the mini best of show. It was a raspberry hibiscus saison, and I thought it was amazing, delicious. I do a lot with fruit at home with my meads and stuff like that. And I thought that the expression of the raspberry in that beer was better than like many, many other fruit beers I've had ever. But, I don't think so it ended up making it to the mini best of show, but it got passed on because the base style was declared as a saison. And again, I think it was because of the limitations of the.
No, just looking at
was
this.
that, dude? That beer was so good. It ended up getting passed on because it didn't have enough saison characteristic.
But on that one though, in
But
particular,
that was limited to the styles, I think, of the competition.
but it goes down to though when you were at that when that beer was at that mini best of show table, and they asked the judges which one don't you like.
That was the first one.
There was a judge on that table that particularly did not, the judge that you fought to get that beer in did not like that beer. So that was the first beer he raised up and said, chuck it.
And he was the senior judge at that table at the time. Yeah.
Right. So you can't say there's not some subjectiveness to it. And
totally.
It's not,
Danny, that was a well-brewed beer. I absolutely love that. It was amazing. The raspberry was just like awesome. Because I had a fruit beer after that was like cherry, and it was like, somebody like from the bathroom fucking like farting, and like it just happened to sound like the word cherry or something like that, and like, like your raspberry was like kick ass.
So
yeah, dude, I don't know.
But it's all subjective. I mean, when it comes down to it, Matt, you can only get.
You guys want to watch some wolfhounds fight?
I do.
Yeah.
All right, this is not wolfhound.
I was gonna say, it almost seems
that's how they play. Isn't that crazy?
I can hear them now. Jeez.
But it almost, if I feel like having best of show be so subjective almost defeats the purpose of having a score sheet from the beginning. Like a little bit, like there's that, ladder that you have to climb right at the beginning, but then we're just kind of foregoing the rest of that for our final table. I feel like there should be some, points put in there, for it.
I think there's an argument to be said for that, but I also, I'm also fine with kind of like the operation you just said. Like I'm fine with somebody going, that one is more appealing to me, but I personally value the feedback. Like, say, just for my beer, like I had a 40-point beer. I'm ecstatic about it. I don't give a shit about a medal or anything else.
That's amazing.
Like I'm ecstatic that I got a 40-point beer because now I know that I made something that's to that style. I liked it. It tasted good. It validated what I was doing. And if it would have gotten a medal, fantastic. It didn't. I don't care. But that the feedback is what I'm really after, not the medal, because I'm just going to lose it at some point, or my kid's going to end up skipping it in a pond or some shit, But
we try to focus.
But I mean, I'm not. Just me personally, as somebody who submits beers, I would love to get a medal, but if I get a well scored beer, that's what I'm really after. You know what I mean?
Well,
so
absolutely.
I'm really okay. I don't think we have to bring the scores into like that final table. If there's 3 of them, or 4, or 12, I guess it depends on the style. But at the end of the day, it's like the points and the feedback. And what I really liked about the Celebrity Deathmatch is that both of the people that judged my beer gave me solid quality feedback, like more than one word. And that's what I'm looking for in a beer competition. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be too disappointed if I score a high score and somebody decided that
if you
they didn't like Mosaic hops, they liked the Centennial hops better. You know what I mean? That's fine.
If you had the fortune of having your beer judged by Mike Neville, you were lucky.
Wasn't he like writing stuff on the back of the sheet at one point?
I've never seen somebody give so much feedback as Mike, and I talked to him about it that day, and he did Keeper's Cup, and did the same thing, and just the amount of feedback he gives and encouragement and stuff, it's fucking awesome. Like, I mean, all of the Motor City Mashers crew that judged our beers were all very awesome, but yeah, Mike was super focused on giving as much feedback and detailed feedback as he possibly could. Yeah, oftentimes, flipping the sheet over and writing on the back, like, do this, or, you know, change that, or, you know, mash in higher, mash in lower, you know, tweak your hops. This doesn't work, whatever. Mike's awesome.
Hey, I got a question, follow-up question, or just a discussion that like David and I had on Big Brew Day, relevant to our, you know, topic of the show. But anyways, we talked about how we had one of our members submitted 2 very good beers, and then he submitted a third beer that knew that there was something off about it, but wanted feedback to try and get it better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm just going to submit it anyway. I want them to tell me what, and for sake of argument, let's just say it was a very, very, very bad and undrinkable beer. And so the feedback that they got was, this is bad, essentially. Like there wasn't, you know, hey, it had this in it. It had this in it. You should think about doing this. You should think about doing that. There was no constructive, like, this is how you can actually make it better. And so, like I said, this member submitted 2 other beers that scored very highly. Like, he knows how to make good beer, was looking for some feedback and didn't get it. Is that based on just maybe you didn't get the right, maybe he needed that judge? Or is this,
you know,
or is it something that, like, if you submit something so bad that it's like, I don't have the time to write down all this stuff? I mean, just out of curiosity.
I had a good conversation with the judge organizer, Tom, there that day. And we talked about how kind of some of the older school judges, especially in the BJCP, how there's almost like this elitist jerk kind of attitude on some of the old school. Now, you got this new wave, new school. You got Brian, you know, who gives a ton of feedback. You got Mike Neville, who gives an amazing amount of feedback. Gail Milborn, who, you know, fucking Grandmaster 3 judge, who puts her heart and soul to.
Not to call her out.
Yeah. All right. So Grandmaster
2's
2,
amazing.
Puts heart and soul into it and gives a lot of good
killed
feedback.
it that day. He hasn't even passed the online exam yet. His scores were amazing.
Right.
Who?
You know,
me?
Tim Wicklund.
Oh, Tim. Yeah.
Tim Wicklund, you know, got pulled in to be a judge and was writing as much data as he could, you know, and it was awesome. Unfortunately, there are still people, you know, whether it's the old school crew or you know, they're whatever reason, you know, that day we had, I don't know, 12 or 15 judges, you know, so not all of them have the same, you know, reason for being there, the same desire to make beer better as everybody else. So unfortunately, in that one member's particular experience, you know, I know that the judge that they got, you know, was just filling a seat. And you're always going to have that, you know, especially out of 12 to 15 people, somebody's always going to be there just taking up space. And so that's basically what it comes down to. I mean, and you know, I try to give the feedback where I can, and I'm honestly not afraid if they watch this episode. You know, if you're judging a beer competition, if you're there to spend time, you know, picking that best to show beer, take some goddamn time to write down some comments. I mean, why else are you there? You're there to make beer better. Homebrewers better.
I'm with you because I've been in a similar situation to the example Matt gave, and I feel like I make decent beer. You know, not phenomenal, but not terrible. But I have submitted some beers where I'm like, there's just something on this I don't really like, and I'll submit it and get, you know, 1 to 4 words, on my feedback.
I feel this way about, so this is a hobby. Homebrewing is a hobby. You know, we're putting our beer out there to be judged. You know, as fellow hobbyists, we should be giving our all to, you know, that feedback, to that judging. You know, last year, and I'm not trying to start any shit shows, but last year's National Homebrew Con was fucking worthless. You know, and those judges gave 0 feedback. And there was this subset of Reddit that came out and they were like, oh, but if you're in the nationals and you don't need fucking feedback. Bullshit. We're all homebrewers, you know, and that could have been my very first beer going to nationals. There's no fucking checks and balance. There's no entrance exam or any of that shit that says you have to be here before you get to homebrew. I think this is a hobby, and those judges are judging a fucking, you know, it's their hobby.
Especially for the price.
Wait, we're not pro brewers. Fucking, if you're gonna judge a homebrew comp, give goddamn feedback.
See,
So,
that's the thing. Like,
as somebody who submitted to that competition, my initial thought was, there's no way in hell I'm going to medal. I don't give a shit. I'm
Right.
looking for feedback from what's supposed to be the best feedback I can get.
and you're
Right.
It's
not
a
getting
national. I should have the best, and I did not get any feedback. Zero. I will not submit to that competition again, ever, until they can guarantee me that I'm not only going to get a score, first of all, on my beer,
right.
but I'm also going to get some feedback from the best
And unfortunately, last year
and nothing. I mean, it
you
was
didn't
so
get a
disappointing.
score, and you didn't get feedback. You didn't get feedback. You didn't get score. You didn't get shit.
oh, that's
and you spent
bullshit.
$29 plus shipping.
See, that's
I
the
get
thing.
it.
Yeah,
But,
it
that's
was.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's why
There's
we
people
submit
there
beers.
that just show up. They want to get their points. They want to increment their fucking thing. You know, they're grumpy old bastards, whatever it may be. You know, and those judges, you know, and I know in this particular case, CBD or CDB, whatever, CDM, they didn't even put their fucking name on the sheet because
Yeah.
they didn't even give a shit that they were there. So shit happens, and I'm sorry, Ron. You got shitty feedback.
That's what I
Well,
was
no,
saying. Like,
and
I'm
I
not,
wasn't, and I'm not trying to call anybody out or anything, but I mean, I was just curious because, like I said, you had the opportunity to be like inside of a judging operation that I've never be able to be a part of. So, you know, like, to get such a discrepancy, like what's going on, and I guess you should have figured out. Like, there's people that are just filling seats. There's always going to be that.
Yeah,
It's
no, but I
frustrating.
will say being part of that, you know, and as Brian was part of that, Brian was focused on judging the whole time. I got to bounce around and see the whole thing. That was an exception, right? Everybody there was focused on giving as much feedback as they could, except one or two people. So,
Well, I like those odds. I mean, that's good.
Right.
And I'm not trying to. So I'm going to say something, and I don't want this to be me defending the national homebrew competition last year. This, because it needs to be. It's something that has to be better organized, and I think that somehow. So first, it's all volunteer, right? Nobody's getting paid to like judge these beers, so a lot of people have a hard time getting to one city in one state to judge like 5,000 beers. But two, like,
that's the way it is this year.
yeah. So, but two, to like, and so that's why I don't like last year's one. That's one reason I don't like last year's format. Well, let's go over this first. I'm going to keep backpedaling. So,
I want to say this though. Don't pull any punches the National Homebrew Competition.
I'm not. No, I'm not. I absolutely will not. It
we
sucked.
paid a ton of money and we didn't get anything back from it, and they need to change their fucking format, and they're not going to unless enough people bitch.
So at a minimum, I think
Or
per
stop
beer, you probably need like 10 minutes for judges to give like reasonable feedback. More than that, preferably somewhere between 12 and 15, probably. But like, if you have good judges, they can probably give at least like reasonable feedback in 10 minutes per beer. And there's 2 judges per beer, and there's 5,000 beers that were entered last year, and they were all being judged in one facility. Like, that's just insane and not doable and stupid. Like, in years before that, it was somewhere between like 13 and 15
12,
facilities.
12.
Yeah. So it was just one round last year, and beers like continuously moved through like 6 stages or something like that at one place. In years prior, what would happen is people would ship to the closest judging facility near them, and this judging facility would have dates. Whenever worked out best for all the judges that could make it there. And so instead of like one huge group of judges that potentially couldn't even make it to this one place judging 5,000 beers, you would have maybe like a smaller subsect of judges, but still dedicated, because they could not probably have to drive as far to their quote unquote local facility.
Hey, Brian.
To judge like 600 beers or 800 beers. What's up?
Well, my thing is okay. I understand what you're saying. It makes a lot of sense to me. But why couldn't they pulled off? Hey, if you don't make it to the final round or the second round or whatever round they do it, like if you were the first one out, we're not giving you feedback because we don't have the time for that. Like we judged it. Try again later. This is our situation. Second, if you get into the second or the final round, we're going to give you some feedback. You know, like if you made it to the second round and not to the, I'm assuming there's 3 rounds. Am I right? Isn't it?
There were 6 potentially
rounds. So-
last year.
Nationals,
So-
yeah, there's more.
Yeah. So you say, hey, look, the first round. If you are in the first round, you're not getting any feedback. We don't have the time to do that. Like, sorry, but you know, maybe even second round it. But when we
But
get to the,
I'd argue, Matt, that
I don't
those
like
are the
that.
rounds that need the feedback most.
Absolutely.
or do
Agreed.
it or do it in reverse order. Say, hey, if you
But
made
that's kind of what
you know.
Nationals. But Nationals took first round. You only got sheets on first round, and then they give you nothing. You know, I got a good
it was
beer.
just
Ooh,
right,
great, good beer. And then I got a mark that it moved to the next round, but I didn't get anything from that. So they only do, you know, first round.
So here's the
but
thing.
I mean, there's got to be a way to implement a way to get some feedback
There
to those
is.
that need it.
There is, and so this is the thing.
But
They
it
need to-
didn't happen, and that's the
It
most
did not. It
frustrating
did not.
part.
It was bullshit, and it shouldn't have happened like that. And I think that they need to go back to the multiple cities, and I think that they maybe, if at all possible, I don't know, but need to, if they have a lack of judges right now or something like that, need to split it up maybe between 2 weekends.
I think Nationals, as big as it is, it's too big to do in one city. You're right.
It is. It really
So
is.
It needs to go back to multiple
And
cities.
so if so we had 16.
Isn't it doing it that way again this year?
They're doing one city.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that probably like 40 to 50 judges per 12 or 13 judging centers can definitely do all of the beers that would be sent there over the course of 2 weekends easily. So, and again, I know it's volunteer and some judges would probably have to drive and stuff like that, and that sucks. And so there's no good solution to that right now except for training new judges, which I'm really pushing for right now locally, but that's a whole other story.
Yep.
But then the first, second, and third from each category from each judging center gets moved on to nationals. So granted, that's still a ton of beer that's going to nationals. You're talking about like 40 categories times 3 beers times 12 judging centers, but it's still way more doable than 5,000-6,000 beers all at like one facility.
No, it gets down to they shouldn't. 5,000 is too much.
What it really boils down to is needing more beer judges.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say, but also at the same time by limiting it to like I'm sorry, if I become a beer judge, I'm probably not making it out to fucking Denver to judge.
But could you make it to Grand Rapids? Could you make it to Ann Arbor?
Yeah.
Could you make it to?
I could probably even make it to Cleveland.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And then the whole thing about it costs money. Well, bullshit. They made. I call it bullshit because, like Brian keeps saying, they don't pay these judges anything. They and most of the time, like us, we did Celebrity Deathmatch, a couple of the other competitions. I know the other state competitions that happen in Michigan. Those spaces are usually donated. In fact, they're always donated. So all you're paying for is the materials you need to judge that day and food, if you're going to be nice and feed your judges. And so especially to charge $29, per entry, if you got 6,000 entries, it's $150,000 you made off of it, and all you're paying for is food and ribbons.
Well,
here's
again,
another
I don't
question.
I don't mean to defend the AHA and stuff like that. But
I get it, but don't we pay dues?
Oh, on top of
dues.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're telling me you can't at least like cover a portion of travel? for anybody that needs to travel there.
No, they
Like,
won't do
hey,
that.
I know, well, yeah, I know,
Well,
but,
yeah,
but
they
that's my
won't,
point.
but-
Like,
If-
you're the AHA, and like, you should be holding the most important beer competition in the
But-
in the nation. So
Yeah.
why can't you go between dues and $150,000? Like, we're going to take a portion of all these entries because
So
we're getting a
for
shitload of them, and we're going to make sure we have enough judges that we can spend enough time to
All
get
it comes down to, Matt, is,
you know?
is this is a money maker for them, and they should give it the respect that it should have. So
they do, if you judge all, I don't know, 3 days, 4 days, I can't remember.
How many beers would you go through?
Well, so you do get free entry into NHC this year if you judge all the days for so that is not a ton. It's like what, like $250, $300,
yeah,
which is like a couple hotel nights. So you're still out money if you're judging every day, but it is something at least this year for that. But how many beers would you drink? If probably like if it depends on how many beers there are in a flight. Like if you're doing 4 flights of like 6 beers, 24, you're probably drinking for like 8 hours.
That's what
Small
I figured. I mean,
bits. You're not drinking like whole bottles or anything like that. You're drinking like
I
2-3 ounces at a time. But
I guess my question was, like, you know, if you got 4 days of testing, and I don't know how many judges they normally have, but at 5,000, you know, beers coming in, if you got 50 people coming in, that's 100 beers over the course of 4 days. Like, that's not bad. I don't know how many judges they're looking for, but like, yeah, it wouldn't be too bad to, I don't know, cover something in terms of travel, especially if they're going to continue this single site thing. It's going to increase their number of judges or availability that they have.
yeah,
I mean, maybe they have somebody running logistics, and, you know, there's just more judges out west. Maybe that's it.
I wish they'd go back to regional sites.
there are more judges out west. There's a ton of judges out in California.
Yeah, but
But also it's
Colorado, or
I
no,
know exactly, totally.
no,
It
actually,
isn't.
this year I believe you're shipping all your beer to Colorado.
You
They're
are.
shipping it to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, yep.
And then they're
you ship it to
judging it in
Colorado. They
Pittsburgh.
drive it to Pittsburgh, and that's
So-
where the judging is.
the fuck is going on with that?
Yeah, it's going to be refrigerated shipping supposedly, but yeah,
I'm sorry, but I'm glad I didn't
it's because
submit for that. That sounds like all sorts of fucked up.
We'll
It's like the
see.
logging industry. Like, we're gonna cut shit down
they.
in Pittsburgh and ship it over to Colorado.
I would like to assume they know more than me, but well, I mean, they obviously do. Who the fuck am I?
The
But-
sad thing is most of the people that run the AHA are also volunteers. So
So you had your hand up, Matt.
I do. Apparently, I'm being beckoned inside. Apparently, it's time
Aw,
for my
dude.
kids to do
No
some
worries, man.
things and
No
some
worries.
stuff.
We probably
Um,
should have like called this like 40 minutes ago.
This
So.
was-
Probably.
it wasn't a show
No.
about bitching about the AHA and NHC, but thanks for joining us today, Matt. Thanks for hosting Big Brew Day.
Hey, every year, man. Every year we can do it, and like I said, we should set up a quarterly maybe event, or even a couple more times. I love seeing everybody out. It's a good time, and we brew beer, and so let's add to what we're doing here. It's awesome.
Heck yeah.
So
Hell
hey,
yeah.
thanks for having me, guys, and cheers from the dark beer from a Hans glass.
Cheers, dude.
And thanks for having me. You guys keep on rocking in the free world. All right.
Take it easy, man.
You too, man.
Take it easy, Matt.
Oh,
See ya.
So we have gone long, and I do have to get up early to catch a plane. So
Yep, no worries. Sorry for going long tonight. Everyone's still listening. If you're listening to the podcast, thanks for probably, hopefully sticking around. If you're listening to this, you obviously did.
and if you're in the Detroit area, come check us out on the 21st.
For sure. Absolutely.
At Rochester Mills production facility. you'll be able to find us because we'll have a kick-ass banner.
Apparently, yeah.
I want to see
Green
this
pop-up.
banner.
If you're
I
watching
will
us on
not be
YouTube,
there.
like our page, subscribe to us. If you are listening to us on Facebook, like us, follow us. If you're listening to our podcast, leave us a good review, or don't. If we suck, then we deserve to know. So
Give us
Okay.
that's fine
feedback.
too. Yeah,
Right on.
that's
Feedback
fine.
is key. All right.
So cheers, everyone. Cheers,
Cheers.
Jason, Jordan. Have a good flight tomorrow, Jordan. Jason,
Jason,
you
yeah.
down there, Jason. All right. All right. Night.
Bye.